Arpit, congratulations for your huge success in the UPSC CSE examination. And the entire LUKMAAN IAS team is very delighted to see your result in the final list of civil services exam. And we are extremely delighted that you have managed to score under 100 rank, one of the topmost rank that it is almost sure about the service that you may be wishing to get. So it is pretty sure that you are going to get that service this year.
Yes, sir.
All right. So since the results are just announced, right? It's been only few days. So how do you feel the happiness, or how do you feel the moment of success after the results are out?
I feel it is a bit shocking also, because you don't really think about getting such a good rank. Although I had some confidence that I will make it to the list, but there is not such a surety that you will get maybe under 80 rank to get into IAS, because I am already in Indian Police Service. So I am very much sure if you have to get IAS, then you have to get under 80. So that is a big relief for me. And I was really very happy. My family was very happy. The prime reason for happiness was that I am finally out of this cycle since after a very long time. Right. So it is a very big relief for me.
Right. So now since you have already been selected, I mean you are already a selected officer, you might be undergoing training, right? You are an IPS already. So now you tried again to improve your rank to get into the service. So what is the first choice of service that you have filled?
Sir, I have filled Indian Administrative Service, that is IAS, as my first preference.
All right. Yes. So we are very hopeful that soon you will be undergoing the training again
yes.
in Asna, for IAS this time. Yes, so congratulations from the team of LUKMAAN IAS.
Thank you, sir.
So now, so let us discuss, something about the GS paper 4,
yes,
integrity and aptitude. So when it comes to GS paper 4, so how did you prepare your subject? How did you prepare your subject? Was there specific notes that you have prepared, and how LUKMAAN IAS have been helpful in GS paper 4 in your preparation?
I think when we look in the market regarding notes of ethics, the lectures of Ansari Sir, they are comprehensive and they give you a sense of confidence when you deal with ethics. Right. Definitely, if you are able to understand those lectures and implement them, you will get good marks in ethics. Apart from that, I tried my own innovative methods to get good marks in ethics. So that included, when we look at ethics paper, it has to be more personal. You can't make it academic. I think that is also the beauty of the teachings that Ansari Sir gives in his lectures. That is primarily related to making it personal. So that was a major thing that I did. Then when we look at ethics answers, so I think you are able to tell yourself properly when you use examples and the philosophies that already exist to put a point and to give reasoning behind your stand. So I think that also helped me a lot. Then after that, I tried to practice also. I took LUKMAAN Sir's ethics text series last year. Then this year also I wrote some papers. I think that made it a foolproof strategy, because I got good marks last year also and this year also in primarily ethics. Yes.
All right. So it is at LUKMAAN IAS, what we generally do, I mean in the ethics test series, so we do have a set of 7 test papers throughout the test series. So what we do is initially when a student is writing the test 1, so we test the conceptual understanding, the basic understanding of the topics. We ask, basic questions so that a student is, feels confident about writing that particular examination. So this test is done so that a student understands that like how to write the answers. But in the later test, in test number 2, the standard of the question increases little bit, so that like when the student is writing that particular test, he feels little heat of the examination. He understands that there can be some difficulty level. So we keep on increasing the difficulty level in the questions throughout the test paper. So a student who has been consistent in maintaining the score, in the test series from test 1 to test 7, or a student who has been gradually increasing in marks that he or she is getting during the test paper. So this student is actually improving a lot in his or her preparation during the course of writing the test paper. So that's the philosophy that Lukman IAS follows, like in the standard of the test papers. And generally, Ansari Sir is the person who has been teaching ethics since UPSC has introduced this particular subject. So Ansari Sir has the knack of the examination. Why? Because he has been teaching public admin optional subject, and so the moment UPSC introduced it, he also started teaching ethics. So since then he has been monitoring how UPSC is framing question year on year from the basic conceptual parts and from the case study section. So that's how he orients the question paper in such a manner that the student feels that he is actually writing UPSC examination in the test paper also. And this actually helps the students, because no one can exactly give the question that the UPSC is going to frame. We can only replicate the pattern. We can make the standard of the question similar to what the UPSC is asking. So that's what Ansari Sir has been doing, and he has been one of the greatest teachers when it comes to ethics as a subject. In UPSC preparation field, whenever a student thinks of preparing ethics, one of the name that prominently comes to his mind is Ansari Sir. So you have rightly told that Ansari Sir has been a person who has helped in one or other way in the preparation of ethics. So I just want to know from you, so how did you feel the question paper of this year different from the previous year that you have written the examination?
I have written two mains primarily. I wrote mains last year and this year. Last year was primarily, the first half was philosophical. It had more focus on philosophy. I think this year it had more focus on administration. So the first part was different in this way, and the second part, I think UPSC with time is increasing the length of the case studies. They
Right.
don't give you time to think much. They want you to write what is there in your head without falsifying anything. So I think so this is a way to test what is ingrained in a person. So that way UPSC has also changed. So I think a person has to ingrain those ethical features within himself or herself to ace this exam.
All right. So, how would you suggest a student who is preparing for civil services to study ethics as a subject? How one should go about preparing ethics, note making. It can be, your suggestion could be in the area of note making, in the area of studying the subject, in the area of taking tests, and there can be other inputs from your side as well. So, how do you suggest a person who is thinking of preparing ethics as a subject holistically?
So first you have to start with a basic source. It can be any coaching if you want. It can be Ansari Sir's notes also. It can be any book also. But my advice will be to keep that source limited. It should be only one source, because after completing that you have to make your own notes. You have to take out the keywords from the syllabus. You have to take out those things that they are asking, and you have to make holistic notes in just 2 or 3 pages for every aspect. Now, in the note making, what can be included? First is the definition of a particular term, and when I say definition, it should be it should be done in a simple language, and it should be holistic as much as possible. Secondly, I think you are able to communicate better to an examiner if you write examples. And I would urge people to improve their examples, because you can't end up writing those simple examples. I won't say simple examples are good, but don't write examples that all people are writing. For example, we write a lot about Gandhiji and Mr. Abdul Kalam. I think we have to, if we are writing those examples, we have to be very accurate in those examples. Second, apart from first is definition, second is examples, third would be philosophies. There are some very basic philosophies that have been given in ethics. I think you have to be, you should use those philosophies in your answers. And apart from philosophies, you can also include some diagrams, because it makes it easier for the examiner to understand those diagrams. So when you are making notes, you have to make them holistic. For example, if a question is asked on integrity, it should have definition of integrity. It should have, if possible, a diagram. It should have an example. And if somewhere you can quote some philosophy. And it is here where you have to personalize your notes. You have to write those examples which are close to your heart. Because when you do this, then it becomes easier to remember those examples in the exam. So you have to do this. After making notes, I think in ethics, writing tests is equally important. Primarily because it is, the paper of ethics is lengthy as compared to the other GS 1, 2, and 3. And UPSC is increasing, as I have told you, the lengthiness of the paper. So you have to prepare before the UPSC exam and make sure you write tests. Because what will happen is, when a person is writing test, while sitting in the exam, they might think of some good examples. They might get some good examples from the model test answers. So I think this is a basic strategy if we see ethics as a whole.
Right. So Arpit, tell us, how do you differentiate the preparation of ethics and other GS papers, like GS paper 1, 2, and 3? So how, the preparation of ethics is different from all other sections?
I think that you have to study less in ethics, but you have to apply more as far as ethics is concerned. Because since you are daily reading newspapers, you have for prelims also you are studying GS 1, 2, and 3. So what will happen is, if you are sitting in GS 1, 2, and 3, it is easier for you to write something. But when ethics comes, since you study less also, so I think practicing more becomes important in ethics. And writing ethics answer is somewhat also different from the GS 1, 2, and 3. Because in GS 1, 2, and 3, the examiner will break the question into 2 or 3 parts. So it is easier for you to write multi-dimensional answer. But when ethics comes, they might give you a quote. Then you have to elaborate for 2 pages. And it also becomes important in the ethics paper to be balanced, because every question tests your balance. So I think that in that way, ethics is different.
All right. So, there are many students, they are under the, what we say, dilemma, that the role that current affair plays in ethics paper. I mean, how did you balance your preparation of current affairs with, so that you can use some of the examples in ethics? So how do you suggest those students who are preparing ethics and who are thinking of, including some examples in their answers? So how they should go about this thing?
I think the basic premise should be that when you are including examples, those examples should be known by many people. And for example, during the Olympics, some of the athletes such as Simone Biles walked out from the Olympics citing mental health. So that showed courage. But when I will write that in the exam, an examiner will be able to understand that properly. And he will think that this is a multidimensional answer. So while reading newspapers, you can look after some social work that has been done, or an administrator that is doing some great work. In sports also you can see, because sports provide a lot of examples. But I would suggest that keep the examples limited, because eventually in the exam you can't write everything, and take those examples which are more universal. A person should immediately click to the example. It should immediately arise some ethical feelings in a person. So I think that should be the way to go about ethics examples.
All right. There are other set of students, I mean, like they feel that like, previous year question papers of UPSC is important. Some students think like it is not important. So what is your take on like, looking into the previous year question paper of ethics to prepare for the next year's examination that they might be writing?
I think it is, personally for me, UPSC is primarily about syllabus and PYQs. It is similarly important in ethics also.
Just
You
like
can,
there was some internet fluctuation, right?
yes, yes.
All right. So we
You
got,
can club the videos, right? It
yes,
won't be a
yes, like,
problem.
yeah, like we'll do that part.
Okay.
Yes. So, like my last question was related to, I mean, like, the previous year question paper of UPSC. So,
So I think that PYQs is one of the most important thing on which the entire UPSC preparation should be based on, because it gives you a sense of what UPSC is expecting, and when you know what commission is expecting, then only you can write some answers. And in ethics, it becomes all the way more important because it has been seen that they have been repeating questions in the ethics exam. So I believe that a person should be thorough with the PYQs. And since the paper only started after 2013, I think there are only 6 years or 7 years paper. I think PYQ should be a major part of the preparation.
all right. So, like apart from this, when it comes to essay paper, right? Many students are there who are, doing segregated preparation of essay, and there are students who are preparing all the GS papers, and they are thinking that their essay paper is done. So, how do you take the essay paper preparation for UPSC CSE?
First, I would like to clarify that my subjective skills are very poor. So essay was something that I focused on because in general the subjective skills are poor. But as far as essay is concerned, I got last time around 126 marks, and this time I got 130 marks. So my basic concern regarding essay was that uh, I think it can't be done with only GS papers, because again you have to find some examples in essay as well which can be of personal importance, and essay is one such paper which it is very important for you to perform really well in those 3 hours, because this year it has happened that people who have scored 130 140 marks in the last exams, they end up getting around 100 marks this year. So I think the fluctuations in essay is more as compared to other papers. As far as preparation is concerned, you should write more essays if possible, and there should be a proper structure, because I think most of the students that are preparing for UPSC don't have a uh, inbuilt knack to write essays. There might be some students in past years who were brilliant essay writers. I was not one of them. My strategy was primarily focused on process. So you have to break the essay into different segments. You have to build a process, and you have to include examples also in that. And it is important to look at the syllabus of essay and what they are expecting, where they will mention some of the most important things that they feel, such as maintaining the flow of the essay, being concise, being effective. So I think if a person sees them, then they can ace the essay paper as well.
All right. So, Arpit, thank you so much for interacting with us today
Thank
and
you.
letting our viewers who are going to watch this video, know some strategy from a topper's perspective. Because, like many a times, people are not directed in the right way, like when they are preparing. So it leads to their attempts getting wasted. So when they get some direction from topper, who have already done it, so they may try and test it to see like if it is going to work for them.
We have done the same. We have done the same during examinations. Yes.
And many students are going to get benefited from this particular video. Thank you so much for interacting with us once again, and we wish you all the best for your future to come, and hopefully we will connect again, and like we will invite you for some toppers talk in our classroom in future. So
Okay.
let's see how it happens. And like Ansari Sir is the guiding light for those students who are preparing ethics paper.
Yes, sir.
He has been guiding his students since UPSC started, this having this ethics, integrity, and aptitude as a paper, segregated, as a separate paper in the civil services exam. So Ansari Sir, I mean, do you have any message for Ansari Sir? Because at a later stage, he may also watch this lecture, this particular, discussion.
I think, as I said, my primarily ethics, the basic source of my ethics has been Sir's lectures. I think the way he connects to the people, the students, and the way he sticks to the syllabus, it is very phenomenal. And it is for me, it has been a single point to get the basic notes of the ethics, so that I can build upon that. So in that way, Sir has been helpful, and his test series, the crafting of test series, has really been helpful. So I would like to extend a lot of thanks as far as ethics paper is concerned to Ansari Sir. And I would like to thank the entire LUKMAAN team also for being a part of this journey.
Thank you so much, Arpit, for interacting with us today. We hope you have a great career ahead and you excel, much more in your career. Like you continuously, make news for the good work that you are going to do once you join the civil services as an IAS officer.
Thank you, sir.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for connecting with us today.
Welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Study general studies with LUKMAAN IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, LUKMAAN IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.